In today's world, it is not a difficult task to find a family that has been deeply affected by the destructive animosity and immaturity in students. School violence has been an ongoing struggle in society, and disasters like Virginia Tech and Columbine are no longer rare. Precautions for school safety are on the minds of numerous schools' administrations. Incidents like these continue to create an ongoing challenge to the nation's educational environment. Educators, students, parents, and communities need to be well informed about this outbreak in violence. They should understand the causes of school violence, as well as the need to search for solutions. Thousands of lives have been tainted by these senseless acts of violence in schools, but many safety programs have taken constructive steps forward to ensure protective environments. In order to recognize the root of violence, one must comprehend the mental state of those who commit these harmful acts. Psychiatrist John Johnson says that the gunmen often feel as if they are being victimized by the students at their school, causing them to build up anger until it is let out in violence. Johnson describes these school killers as very self-centered, angry youngsters who derive extraordinary pleasure from savage vengeance they wreak on one another. Teenagers rely heavily on media images, so when students build up this internal anger, they believe they have to let it out similar to the way movie stars or TV actors do. For instance, in the movie Die Hard 2, there were 264 murders. Teenagers will use aggressiveness as their outlet because it has been taught to them that murder will solve all problems. However, in the end, it is impractical to assign blame to one aspect of a killer's upbringing. All of their experiences will form the mindset that causes them to lash out in violence. Acts of violence have touched schools all across the nation. October 1st, 1997 is a day that will never be forgotten by those living in Pearl, Mississippi. Luke Woodham, a chubby 16-year-old sophomore at Pearl High School, had constantly been bullied at school. As the psychiatrist John Johnson pointed out, Luke's anger built up to the point that he turned to an outlet of aggression. On October 1st, he woke up, retrieved a butcher's knife, and walked into his mother's room. Luke slit his mother's throat and beat her to death. He then grabbed a rifle and packed the pockets of his trench coat with ammo. He was on a mission to kill. At Mississippi's Pearl High School, Luke opened fire on his schoolmates, killing 2 girls, including his former girlfriend, and wounding 7 other students, leaving them bleeding on the floor. Woodham blamed his rage on the influence of Grant Boyett, a Satanist mentor. The two had started a demonic cult known as Cross. The teen killer testified that after his breakup with Christina Menifee, he fell under the influence of Boyett. Woodham said, "He told me I had to kill my mom. He told me I had to get the gun and the car and go to school and get my revenge on Christy and cause a reign of terror." Luke claimed he was under a spell of 100,000 demons. Woodham said, "I'd see demons that I always saw when Grant told me to do something. They said I was nothing, and I would never be anything if I didn't get to that school and kill those people." After a 5-day trial, Luke Woodham was sentenced to life in prison for killing his mother. He was found guilty of killing his 2 classmates and was sentenced to life sentences plus 20 years in prison. Pearl High School was a painful act of inexcusable violence, but unfortunately, it is only one of many. In Oregon, Thurston High School also experienced an act of fatal aggression. Jennifer, a 15-year-old student at Thurston, said, "Until these scars go away, until my hand moves again, until I can look at my boyfriend and he doesn't feel guilty that he couldn't save his friend Mike, you know the emotional effects won't go away." Her life was tragically scarred in May of 1998 when a student, Kip Kinkle, entered Thurston High School and fired 51 bullets through its halls. Jennifer was one of hundreds whose life would never be the same. Kinkle was a freshman at Thurston High School. Prior to his entrance at school, Kinkle shot and killed both of his parents. He then continued on to Thurston High School, casually entering the cafeteria carrying a gun in each of his hands. Earlier that week, Kinkle had been suspended from school for bringing a gun, but the school released him to his parents, as was the law in Oregon. In addition to that, Kinkle had told a friend that he believed it would be fun to kill another student. He mentioned that he wanted to get back at all those people who had suspended him, so he might do something stupid very soon. With warnings such as these, it is shocking that the violence at Thurston High School was not avoided. Unlike Pearl and Thurston, not all instances of violence involves guns or mass murders. The situation in Jena, Louisiana, is one that displays a very different kind of school violence. There were no lives lost in Jena due to this violence, but the people in this community have certainly been changed by the violence at their local high school. It all began on the morning of August 31st, 2006, when a black student at the school had asked the vice principal if he and some friends could sit under the school's white tree, as it was traditionally known. The very next morning, it was discovered that these 3 nooses were hanging from a tree on the school's lawn. The school deemed that this act was an innocent prank and dealt out a few days of in-school suspension for the perpetrators. In late November of 2006, the school days were filled with several racially charged violent incidents. After these incidents, the central academic wing of the high school was destroyed by a suspected arson fire. On the following Monday, there was a taunting match during lunch, in which Justin Barker, a white student, was knocked unconscious and taken to the hospital with cuts and bruises. 6 black athletes were reprimanded for this incident and charged with attempted second-degree murder. These charges carry a sentence of 25 to 100 years in prison, without the possibility of parole. Despite the punishments that have been inflicted, the violence in Jena has not ceased, causing not only the students, but all members of the community to endure its harmful effects. In situations such as Pearl, Thurston, and Jena, the school's safety systems were severely lacking, which caused massive injuries to their student bodies. However, because of this, schools have enacted many new measures to ensure security among the students.
We have a school-wide discipline program that everybody embraces and practices, and it's called a Safe, Secure Learning Environment. And we have metal detectors, we have handheld walkthrough, depending upon where you are. And we have an emergency response or contact system that we're putting in place for 2008-2009 school year. And that is with one command, we can send messages, text messages to parents, to those who need to know, foster parents, guardians, and alert them that school is being let out due to snow, or we're not having school because we had a pipe break in a certain school. For whatever reason, it's a need-to-know emergency message.
Metal detectors have been installed in nearly 13% of schools. Random drug testing has begun in about 1,000 different school districts. Finally, about 68% of schools now employ security guards or police officers to monitor the students' safety. Although the rates of youth violence have increased over the years, the actual rates of school violence has remained fairly constant. Another take that schools have explored is the expansion of extracurriculars. Schools have seen that when they offer a variety of after-school activities, students are more social with those around them and less likely to feel victimized by others. However, as the violence continues to occur, many people are wondering what is left to be done. This is the point at which communities must look to the behaviors of their students. Students should be willing to pay attention to the feelings of those around them. Schools have improved their systems, but it is now time for students to learn accountability for one another. Depressing and views, immature teenagers have caused an extraordinary amount of turmoil for many years. Author Jeff P. Jones states, "Living hundreds of miles apart, the gunmen's lives melded when each picked up a gun and then exploded in fatal anger at their families and classmates. In total, they have killed 29 and injured 47 since 1993. In recent times, school administrators have been forced to analyze their measures of security. The safety of the students has become a main priority for communities everywhere. If this problem is left unresolved, it will only traumatize countless more people. Schools have begun to make the necessary changes through the increase of security measures. However, now students must be encouraged not to be bystanders, but to take an active role in ensuring peace. The time has come for the communities of America to stop running from these destructive situations, but to turn and face the violence that is affecting the youth in their schools."